Hey, what's up? Shout outs to my boy Haymaker TV. Stay tuned.
Yes, sir. All right, this is Aztecs with Haymaker TV, and standing in front of me, we have a former world champ, multiple time trainer of the year, Hall of Famer. What else am I missing, brother? Robert Garcia. Man, but thank you for taking the time to do this interview, brother. Hey, how you doing so far?
I'm doing great, man. It's great to be here in Dallas, Fort Worth. And, Texas has always been one of my favorite states for boxing, so I'm really happy to be here.
No doubt, man. Tomorrow you got a big fight, Virgil Ortiz versus Lubin, man. How you feeling about that fight?
Look, it's a process already. We've done it hundreds of times. We're ready. Virgil's always been a very dedicated person. He's one of the most dedicated persons because I got guys like Benn Rodriguez, Raymond Murataya, Jose Ramirez, who trained their ass off, but Virgil's one of them, always in great shape. So, we know he's always going to bring the best and put up a great fight.
Yes, sir, without a doubt, man. You have a busy schedule, man. Like you said, you got Bam, you got to go to Saudi Arabia.
Correct.
Then you got Murataya, he's fighting one in January, man. How you feeling about the Murataya fight, man?
Look, it's a fight that should have happened. It was actually scheduled to happen in November 22nd in Saudi, but negotiations didn't go well, and now we went to purse bid, and now we're the fight's scheduled to be January 24th. It's a good fight. Raymond's ready. Cruz is a gold medalist, so can't get any better than that. It's going to be a great fight.
For sure, man. Can't wait for that fight, man. Now, just like I said again, I want to congratulate you, man, because I know you just opened a brand new gym. Is this gym number 3, or because I know you have one in San Antonio?
Yeah. Look, that's the process, to expand and open different gyms. We're actually looking at different cities in Southern California. We were actually still planning something here in the Dallas area. It's I grew up watching kids. Watching how boxing gyms helped a lot of kids stay out of the streets, drugs, gangs. So I want to do stuff like that for the youth. Not necessarily to make world champions, because out of 100, maybe one make it to become a world champion. So the main thing is I know how many kids I've helped, how many kids have changed their life because of boxing. I've had parents come to me, after their kids graduate high school and saying that if it wasn't for boxing, for the gym, their kids wouldn't graduate and stuff like that. So that's what moves me to just do this, for the youth. Obviously, it's also a program that I want to start. I'm actually in the process of starting a foundation, a youth foundation, Robert Garcia's Youth Foundation. So it's pretty much to help the youth, cities where it's needed.
For sure, man. You and your dad, man, wow, Big G, man. Y'all been doing this since when, man? I just want to go back a little bit because I am a big fan of you. But can you just briefly explain, kind of how it started? Because to me, it just seems like, man, like a dream come true. You went from Colonia and Vargas, and then you become a former champion. Then your brother Mikey. And then trainer of the year, you know what I mean? Y'all just doing real big things. Can you just explain how kind of all happened? Just as,
I started boxing my first amateur fight, which was in 1980, way before we even had, USA Boxing has the record books. Even before that, I was 5 years old when my dad took me to an amateur show, and I had my first amateur fight. So I must have been training since I was maybe at least 4, because I was 5 when I had my first amateur fight. So I don't have many memories of that because I was only 5. But I do have the newspaper article, pictures of when I was 5 holding my trophy. Wow. And it just started there. I think it was a dream that my dad had. My dad grew up in Michoacan. That's where he's from, and he's telling us that since he was a kid, he loved boxing. Never had the chance to compete or participate, but he said he had a few amateur fights in a town where they used to have amateur fights to raise money for a church. So that's where everything started. You know, he fell in love with the sport. He tells us stories about him listening to the radio, to the fights before even TV was out, and they would listen to all the big fights from the 50s and 60s through the radio, not even on TV. So he was just a big fan, and he got pretty much all of my siblings, brothers, and even my sisters know how to fight.
Wow.
My sisters never competed, but they know how to fight. My dad used to train them too.
Yeah.
So that's how it started, and it was just a process. Never really thought of becoming what we became, but it's all everything happens for a reason. My dad had that dream, and that's what started everything.
Yeah, man. He had the vision, man, and y'all sons, man, y'all made it come true, man. That's just awesome, and it's just a blessing, man, just to see that, man. I'm very happy for y'all. And one question I always wanted to ask you: what made you start training? Because I know at one point you decided to retire, but what made you that sparked out? Like you're like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do now.
Look, when I retired, I never thought I was gonna come back to boxing. Honestly, I could say I hated boxing. Right. I wanted nothing to do with boxing, but I retired in 2001. So I could say a couple years later, my dad told me to come help him in the gym with the amateur kids, because my dad was running the La Corona Boxing Club. So he told me, come help me out with some of the kids. So I started helping, volunteering with some of those kids. I liked it. I enjoyed working with the little kids. Then I took over. My dad stopped doing that with the amateurs, so I took over right there in La Corona Boxing Club. And then I took Mikey to a national tournament, to the national, it was not the Golden Gloves, Junior Olympics. I took him to the national Junior Olympics, and I seen a lot of talent. And I met Victor Ortiz. I met Victor Ortiz there, and I invited him to come to Oxnard. He came. We had him living in our house, and and then he was 17, so he told us, I want to turn pro. So I got a hold of Cameron Duncan and Top Rank, and that's how it started. Then right after Virgil came in, he told me about Brandon Rios. So then Brandon Rios came in, and those were the two first fighters that I kind of started training and managing together with Cameron Duncan, and that's how everything started. I fell in love with it, and here I am, 22, 23 years later.
Wow, that's some awesome, man. Just who would have thought, right? I'm pretty sure when you were fighting, you would have never thought you would be a Hall of Famer, and then never. I actually, like I told you, after I retired boxing, I was sick of the sport. I was tired of the sport, and I wanted nothing to do with boxing. I actually started taking some college classes. I was thinking maybe becoming a police officer, but it didn't get once I started going on ride-alongs with police officers, I did a few times. I started seeing, the arrests, the tickets they were giving, the people that Oxnard is nothing but immigrants, field workers, and started seeing, Mexicans without a driver license and having to, call the tow truck to take their trucks, their cars and stuff like that. And that told me that's something I definitely cannot do. Yeah. So I decided not to do that. But then, like I said, my dad invited me to the gym, and here we are. Wow, it's an amazing story, brother. Now, thank you for sharing that, man. Now, before we leave, man, I just want to ask you about some upcoming fights, and I'll let you get out your way, man. So we got Devin Haney versus Brian Norman. How do you see that fight playing out?
Man, it's a great fight, man. It's a great fight because if Haney tries to prove something different than what he has done in his last couple of fights, then he could be in trouble, because Norman is a strong kid, and Norman has great power. He beat one of my fighters. Yeah. But I've noticed also that he always has a little bit of trouble with boxers.
Yeah.
He could dominate guys that stand and fight with him, but every time he fights somebody that boxes, kind of gives him a hard time. So I think Haney's gonna box, use that jab, and try to pull off a decision.
Okay, fair enough. And also next week you got Eubank and Conor Benn part 2. Who do you see winning that fight?
Look, for them two, it doesn't matter who wins. It doesn't matter who won the first one. It doesn't matter who wins the second one. They're just meant for each other.
Yeah.
They both won. They both gave us such a great fight, the first fight, that we wanted to see the rematch. The world wanted to see the rematch. They're making 2-3 times more money. And if the fight is as good, we might see a third one. So between them, they might not be as good against somebody else, against world champions, because maybe neither of them have the skills, the talent to one day be the best in their division or world champions. You know, anything could happen, but you know, they don't have that. I don't think neither of them are that skilled to say, oh man, those guys could be world champions. But fighting each other is the best thing that could have happened to them. I think they could fight 3 fights, 3 wars, and make a lot of money.
For sure. Yeah, man, for sure. And last one, Roach versus Cruz.
That's gonna be a nice card. It's gonna be a great card in San Antonio, Texas.
Yeah.
I gotta go with Pitbull because he's a natural 140 pounder already. He's already had a few fights at 140. He's strong. He puts a lot of pressure. Roach had a perfect performance against Tank, but that's been his only performance that good. You know, he's very, very good, but he's also had performances that are not very good. Mm-hmm. So I think he just had that one perfect performance against Tank, but I don't think he'll have that against Pitbull. I think Pitbull wins.
Yeah, not only that, but he's also moving up.
Exactly, he's moving up. So he moved up from 130 to 135, and one fight later, now he's fighting at 140.
Exactly.
So that's a big difference.
Yep. But I mean, who knows, man? They both fought Tank.
Yeah, no. And look, and man, believe me, Roach is so skillful. I congratulated him because he proved me wrong. I was so happy for him because of the team he has. His dad, they're all great people. And I wouldn't be surprised if he fights so beautiful and if he fights the way he fought Tank, I think he beats the share of Pitbull. Yep. I think he beats him convincingly.
Yeah.
But I don't think he'll have the same performance anymore because he hasn't had those performances before. He just had that once in a lifetime performance.
Yeah, but hey, it's
and
boxing.
Hopefully I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You know, there's going back and forth between me and Pitbull and stuff like that. So personally, I wouldn't mind seeing Roach win.
I get it. Yeah.
But I really believe Pitbull's gonna pull it off.
All right, man. That's a good assessment, man. Now, before I let you go, I mean, is there anything you want to let your fans know? Anybody, any message, brother?
Hey, thanks for the support. Thank you for giving me this time, bro. It's great to have people like you that are trying to move boxing and like I said, especially in the Texas area, cities. Here in Dallas, Fort Worth. We go to San Antonio. Wherever we go in Texas, the fans are unbelievable, man. So we're always very happy to be part of any shows here in Texas.
Sure, no doubt, man. Well, thank you again, brother, man, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Awesome, bro. Thank you.
I'm a hitter with a haymaker when I hit the hole. I'm sipping walking, any hoes sipping.